We're recording. Okay. I'm just gonna rename myself real fast. Alright, and we're here. Alright. Almost undid all my notes for this entire thing. Good job, Keeks. Actually, I'll open this. Hi, you can't take me anywhere, or I will spill on myself.
When you're ready.
Okay. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome back to Young Not Done, a series that we have been going through with incredible people that I know in my life who are just using this season of quarantine and being a pandemic and utilizing it to the best of their ability to do what God has called them to do and go further into what He has called them to. So today I am interviewing my friend Cara Mcphie. She's an incredible human being. You're gonna love her accent. She's just an incredible, amazing person all around. And we're gonna interview her today about what she has been up to since this pandemic has started now 8-9 months ago, something like that. So please welcome her. Welcome. It worked.
Yay!
Oh my goodness, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing good. It's been nice and warm in Ohio, so it was like 60 degrees, so I'm enjoying not having snow and more weather like LA.
Gosh, yes.
Yeah?
It's super warm here.
Oh, I know. I'm so jealous. I saw the forecast. I was like, dang, I want to be there. Well, amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today and just being willing to share your story, because you have an incredible testimony of what God has been doing in your life, especially since quarantine. Like, I think it's amazing to see like how you've just kind of stepped further into the calling that God has for your life during this season. That, like, I don't know, I feel like this season has just been explosive for you in the fact that like you're running full steam ahead. And so I was like, oh, that's why I wanted to have you join me today and just share your heart and your story. And so starting off, just simply, if you want to tell a little bit about yourself and then what God has been doing in your life since quarantine.
Yeah, gosh. Well, thank you for having me on this, Cara. I feel so honored that you even asked me, for real. But yeah, I'm moved here 2 years ago, I guess, to study acting, and always loved acting, always loved filmmaking in particular, always wanted to make films and be a part of the film production industry. But I always kind of felt like there were I've done a bunch of different things in film, and I was interested in sound, I was interested in casting and acting, and always kind of felt like there was something else, and knew it had to do with film, but didn't really know exactly how it all kind of fit together.
Yeah.
And I was actually thinking before we got on, at the beginning of this year, or the beginning of every year, God will kind of give me a word or a phrase or a sentence or just something that will kind of sum up what my year will be. And it's always been cool to see throughout the year, whatever it is that He's told me, how that plays out.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of this year, obviously before the pandemic and the uprising and everything happened, He gave me the word awakening.
Dang.
And I was like, okay, God, cool. Cool. I don't know what that means, but we'll see. And this year has just been the biggest year of awakening of my entire life. And I had no idea, obviously, that all this is what He meant.
Yeah, obviously.
obviously, because he's God, obviously. But I just have felt like I had all these like pieces in my life and like things that like I knew I was called to, but I didn't know exactly how, and I wanted to do this and just like so many questions that I think through quarantine, God kind of like brought it all together and it all just kind of like snapped into focus. And it was like the best way I know how to like even articulate it is that it was like I had like layers. Like I sleep with an eye mask, but I had like layers of eye masks like on my eyes, and I was just living life, but I didn't know. And it was almost in like an instant, like through this quarantine time, that God just like took it all off
Wow.
and brought everything into focus. And I was like, oh, I get it. I get what you're saying. So yeah, it's been a wild journey. Of just God showing me. I think it's been a big season of shedding for sure. Just like God shedding people and things and mindsets that I've had that are just not for me and that can't go into this new season with me. And
Yeah.
as much as that has been painful, it's also been amazing to see God show up in ways that like I've never seen him show up before. And just be so like close to me and send me so many like just like little reminders that like I got you and like you're on the right path and like you might like I feel like a hot mess, but like I'm still here and I'm walking with you. And so it's
Yeah.
been this like I guess two sides of the same coin of like so painful but also like so cool and like so beautiful to see him work in
Yeah.
all that mess and in all that pain. So yeah.
Wow. That's absolutely incredible. I think it's important, something you pointed out, and I'm fixated on this, is you said the word shedding, like the removing of your eye mask layers, which I just love. I don't wear eye masks, but I think they're adorable. My sister loves them. But just like that fact of like God's removing the layers during this time. Like this is a shedding season, a refining season, and just watching like what God's doing in your life, like through the layers. I think, I don't know, when I first became a Christian, I was like, God's just gonna like transform me. Like I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and I'm just gonna be just like Jesus. And throughout the years and the frustrating moments, I'm like, it's a refinement. It's not an overnight process. And so, but I think it's so important that you pointed that out, because I think especially during this time, I found it's really hard to be intentional because the days kind of like meld into each other, and a week or two or a month can go by and I'm like, what did I even do with that time? And it's still a gift just as much as any day in 2019 was. But I love that. And you said your word for this year is awakening, which is absolutely incredible. And just to have an outsider view of just your life, and I guess maybe more of the prominent things that he's been awakening, that you've been sharing through social media and just talking with you. But I think one thing that I wanted to maybe talk about, if you're comfortable, is this year you have become very passionate and involved in social justice movement, specifically the Black Lives Matter movement, and just hearing your heart on that and just what God's awakened through that for you, because you've shared a little bit of this with me, and I think it's an absolutely incredible testimony and story.
Yeah, this is like my favorite thing to talk about. So cool.
I figured, I was like, we can like talk for an hour or two about this. Share with the world.
Cut me off, I'll get off topic, bring me back, whatever.
You're good.
Gosh, I don't even know where to start. Awakening, yeah, it has been the biggest thing that God has awakened in me. I think, to put it like simply, like I think a prominent prayer that we pray as like Christians is like, God, like break my heart for what breaks yours. And he did that.
Yeah.
Like on a level I can't even articulate. And I think for me, like being a white girl from Australia, moving here, like I will be the first one to say, like, in so much ignorance and naive, like I just had no idea. And there's no like excuse or reasoning behind that. I live in white privilege. I'm a white person. And so like I haven't been exposed to the reality of racism and what Black people deal with in this country. And it was actually, I saw the video of Ahmaud Arbery being murdered, where he was lynched, and like accidentally, like it just, I was on my Instagram and it just like played, and I didn't know what I was watching until I knew what I was watching.
Yeah.
And it was almost just like I talk about that, like taking eye masks off my face. It was just like almost in an instant that it just, just like something broke like in my spirit. And I really went on this journey, and I still am, that like about righteous anger and righteous justice, and that like how valuable that is, and how much it's not like this, like I always thought that like being angry was like such a bad thing, but like I went through a time of just being like so angry, and so angry at different people or people groups, and like we have to do something, and I have to fix this, and this can't be happening. And but God really showed me, or it's still like how to walk through that righteous anger, and that, you know, Jesus walked into a temple and saw injustice and flipped tables, and that it's almost holy. And so yeah, it's been like this like wild journey of like, and it was something God showed me of like the kind of films that he wants me to make are about these stories that get swept under the rug of injustice that people don't want to look at, because like it's uncomfortable and it's confronting. And especially being a white person, like it is confronting to have to look at yourself and like look at the mindsets and beliefs that you have, just, you know, not consciously, but just as being a white person. It's in the system. It's how, even being from Australia, I still was raised in whiteness. I didn't realize it. And I might not have been raised in the American system, but I was still raised in whiteness. And so with that, there are mindsets that I have picked up, not consciously, but they're a part of my upbringing. They're part of my makeup. They're a part of how I think. And so I'm constantly having to like check that and like check myself that like, okay, well, why do I believe that? Why do I react like that? And I think that is, people talk about like in the movement about like doing the work. And I think for a white person, like that is the real work. The real work is like, yeah, I can do all this stuff out here, and I can go march, and I can go shout the streets down and make angry phone calls and emails and all that. But the real work is being willing to like sit down with yourself. And through the Holy Spirit, like he'll reveal it. Like if you ask him, you know, he'll reveal it, that like he'll put his finger on like, you gotta check this. And you gotta check. And it's on micro levels, you know, it's not huge like, you know, racist beliefs or racist whatever, but it's on micro levels of like, why do I react like that? Why do I think that kind of way? And checking that, because like how can I as a white person go out and march and stand for Black people and stand next to Black people and fight for Black people, but then like I'm not going to go check myself as a white person, you know, like I can't do that.
Exactly.
Yeah, and there's so much in that. I don't even know. I could go on forever. But yeah, I just felt like such a strong conviction to fight for the oppressed. You know, and someone I heard, it was at a rally ages ago, and it was a 17-year-old girl who, she's just like a firehouse. Like she just like is 17 and like is fighting for the justice of her people, and she's beautiful. And she was talking about prayer, and she was talking about the church and Christians, and she was saying like, we appreciate your prayers, but it's not enough.
Mhm.
because while you're praying, we're dying.
Mhm.
And I just remember this like huge conviction of just like, like faith without works is dead. And that like God just like super convicting me in that like it is that balance of it's not just prayer and it's not just works, but it's prayer with works and with action, and allowing God to, I think I've been on a journey of like allowing God to show me my action and to show me where I'm most effective and where he can work within me in
Yeah.
the best way possible. So yeah.
That's also good. I'm taking a moment to unpack that all in my head because what you said is so poignantly put, and I think it needs to be a heart check for all of us. I talked to Kim last week about heart check and checking your heart, but I think this is like a Holy Spirit check of like, Lord, like the things inside of me that I do without reason or that just are kind of a part of me that I don't even know to check, like point that out to me. Um, but I also think what you said about, we could pray all day long, but if we don't have actions, how are these people supposed to know that we love them and we're fighting for them and we are for them, you know? And so I think that's such a really good point that we need to remember for right now, that like prayer is effective and important, but then there also have to be actions attached, like you said, that faith without works is dead, because they're not acting on anything. um, but I also love how you said like God is shaping you to just, I forget the phrasing you use, but just like show you where, he's going to work in you, or where you're going to go next with that. And I think that's so beautiful because you mentioned that you're so passionate about film and every aspect of it, and that this passion for the Black Lives Matter movement and just justice, and kind of how they're coming together and how you're seeing that, and the eye mask layers being taken off and God's revealing to you, all these different parts of your life, if you will, and how they're kind of coming together, and like he's shaping that. And that's just phenomenal. And I just want to say, like, you're doing an amazing job. And I think one thing that I love is you always come back to you, because I think sometimes we can get so focused on, we're going to take it out to the world, but you're like, I need to check myself. It's important that I go and I march and I use my own voice for those who don't have one. But I have to come back to myself and make sure I'm in the right place, that I'm letting God work on me as well. And so I just want to say thank you for being open and honest and transparent about that. And I guess like it's kind of, a last point to kind of like bring it all together. So you've graduated from school. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. It
Finally.
must feel so good to like be done.
Yes.
I know that feeling. You're like, thank God, no more. But along with that, you're now a producer at, I don't want to mess this up. It's
Los Angeles doesn't exist.
okay. Yes, Los Angeles doesn't exist, and seeing some of the content you guys are producing is absolutely incredible. And so, if you wouldn't mind kind of sharing that and how that ties into everything we've talked about already, and just your passion for creating, and how God's worked through that thus far.
Yeah. Los Angeles doesn't exist. It was, again, God. Oh, God. I can't even take credit for it. But 3 of my really good friends from my acting class, they actually founded it at the end of last year. And what I love is it's called Los Angeles Doesn't Exist, because the whole concept is about kind of revealing the truth of Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and we're all of us are not from here. We're all like internationals, and all 3 of us are. And this idea of that, like, Los Angeles and Hollywood is like all glamorous and glitz and glam and beautiful, but like when you get here, the reality of, like, I will never forget the first time I went to Hollywood Boulevard. like, because it's shown to us as this like beautiful, glamorous, amazing place. And then I was so excited. And then the first time I got to Hollywood Boulevard, like, it's so gross. I was like, what? I was like, this is not what they show on TV. Like, I'm abused.
Yeah.
And so that's like where the name Los Angeles Doesn't Exist came from. Is it's about like revealing like the real brokenness and the real truth that's behind this like front of like glitz and glam and beautiful and like, you know, the dream, when like it's all an illusion. And so we try and like, I guess we tell those kind of stories and those kind of like real the human condition.
Yeah.
And I know, like, for me as a producer, like, they're the stories that I want to tell. They're the stories of, like, injustice and of the real human condition and the stories that go untold and get swept under the rug. And but how I got connected with them was literally, I didn't even know that the three guys had founded this at the end of last year. And at the beginning of this year, before the pandemic hit and everything, God gave me like an idea for a film. And he specifically told me to go to Byron and Pablo, who are two of the guys. And I was like, oh, okay. So like messaged them and we met and I told them my idea and was like, would you guys want to be involved? And they were like, this is wild. They were like, Cara, we literally were speaking literally earlier on about how like we, like, because they're very creative, like they're creative geniuses. Yeah. And they were saying, we were talking about how we need a producer, like we need a house producer because like we're not good at that. And then like a few hours later, I came to them with like, hey, I have this idea. And so I just was like, okay, God, like I see you, like I see you.
Wow.
And so yeah, I think through like the pandemic has been like, we've just been working a lot on like cementing who we are as like a company and what we stand for, and getting our website up and getting our Instagram going. And then, yeah, just really honing in on what kind of stories we do want to tell, and working on our own individual skills and getting our own connections. And so I'm excited. We have like a film in production right now and we have another one in pre-production. So like,
Wow.
I'm really excited for like what God's going to do through that. And we make short films at the moment and we just want to make as much content and as tell as many stories as we can and enter them into film festivals for next year. So that's kind of where we're at right now. But it's, yeah, I mean, God only knows where it's going to go. I have like big vision and I know he'll do his thing, so but I'm really excited about it.
Come on, girl. I love that. And I think that's something so key for right now is I feel like, myself included, it's so easy to like be stuck in the mindset of this is just life, and it's hard to have big vision. So the fact that you have that, and you know, God says in his word, like in Ephesians 3:20, like he will do exceedingly and abundantly beyond what you could ever imagine. And so I think it's beautiful. Like you already have big vision, and just to see like where God takes it from there is just going to be astronomically incredible. So I cannot wait to see what you guys do together with Los Angeles Doesn't Exist, and the short films that come out of that will just share a light with the world and shine a light on the things that do get swept under the rug. So closing thought for today, what would you say to people who are in this pandemic, same as you and I? What has been your biggest takeaway and encouragement and hope for this season?
Whoa, that's a big one. That's a big one.
Any level you want out of that, just whatever is on your heart.
Gosh, I think hope in itself, that like there is always hope.
Yeah.
And that every day is such a gift. And I think that's been something that the Black Lives Matter movement, I mean, they've taught me, we'll be here for 10 hours if I go through everything, but they've taught me about one of the things is they really do live, each day is sacred. Each day, like we don't know, tomorrow's not promised, you know, so live today with everything that you have, and don't sit on things. I know I'm such a procrastinator, and God's been like working on me. But if you have a dream, like, it doesn't have to like be some big thing or some small thing, whatever it is, just like start it today. Like, do something today for your future. Do something that your future self will thank you for today.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much again for hopping on today. Just thank you for sharing your time and your wisdom and your testimony and um, just you. You're absolutely incredible, and I'm so blessed to know you. And just thank you again for everything you are doing. And just, it's absolutely incredible to watch what God's doing in and through you. So I love you so much, girl. Thank you for joining.
I love you. Thank you for having me.
Of course, yes. We'll have a director's cut sometime when you can talk for like 10 hours about the Black Lives Movement, and we'll just continuously roll that one.
It'd be like a series.
Yeah, I was gonna say at that point you need like a docu-series on that, and we can just collaboration with Los Angeles doesn't exist.
Dream. One day we'll do it. I love it.
Well,
I love you so much.
love you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today for Cara's episode of Young Not Done. I just love her passion and enthusiasm for life, and that she's going to live each day to the fullest and allow God to transform her and just work through her. And to hear her stories about what God's done in this pandemic season is absolutely astounding. And I just want to encourage you guys that the same is out there for you, that God wants to work in your life, that he just wants to be present, and he has so many incredible things for you, that this year is an awakening, that it's not just try and continue on with life and slide by until 2021, but rather that this year has purpose too, and there's so much life to be lived during it. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I cannot wait to see you again next episode, where we will get to interview another incredible human being. And I love you all so much. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Please comment down below what stood out to you, and subscribe and turn on notifications with the little bell icon so that you'll be notified when the next episode goes up. But I love y'all so much. Have an incredible week. Bye.